Have you ever walked away from a conversation feeling strangely exhausted, as if a part of you had been taken? Your energy, your peace, your clarity. Not your money, not your possessions, but something far more valuable, your very essence. The most dangerous battles in life are not fought with weapons, but with choices. Who we allow into our space, whose words we let shape our minds, and whose needs we constantly serve at the cost of our own. Not everyone deserves access to you. The Stoics, from Seneca to Marcus Aurelius, warned us. Some people do not come to give, but to take. They chip away at your time, your mental strength, and your sense of self, often without you even realizing it. The real question is, how do you recognize these silent thieves before it's too late? Today, we will expose 7 dangerous requests, seemingly small but deeply destructive, that can drain your energy, hinder your growth, and keep you trapped in cycles of exhaustion. But more importantly, you will learn how to protect yourself wisely, unapologetically, and without guilt. By the end of this, you won't just survive, you will thrive. Stronger, sharper, unshakable. Let's begin. 1. People who ask for your time but don't respect it. Have you ever felt like your time is slipping through your fingers, not because of your own choices, but because of others who seem to treat it as if it were theirs? You sit down to focus on something important, only to be interrupted by a message, a call, or a last-minute request. At first, it seems harmless, just a few minutes here and there. But before you realize it, hours have been lost, stolen by people who never once considered whether you could afford to give them away. Time is the most finite resource you possess. Unlike money, which can be earned back, or opportunities that may come again, a moment wasted is a moment gone forever. Marcus Aurelius once said, "You could leave life right now. Let that determine what you do and say and think." The Stoics understood that every second of our existence is precious, and yet most people squander their time, and worse, they feel entitled to take yours as well. Seneca warned that life is not too short, but that we waste much of it. How much of yours has been wasted on obligations that did nothing to serve your growth, on conversations that drained your energy, or on favors that were never reciprocated? There is a difference between generosity and surrender. Being available for others is a noble act, but not when it comes at the cost of your own goals, priorities, and peace. The danger of allowing others to misuse your time is not just in the minutes they take, it's in the way it diminishes your ability to focus on what truly matters. Lost time means lost opportunities for personal growth, career advancement, and meaningful relationships. Worse, when you give your time too freely to those who don't respect it, you teach them that it is theirs to take whenever they please. The hard truth is that the same people who constantly ask for your time are often the first to disappear when you need theirs. But before pointing fingers, ask yourself, have you ever done the same? Have you expected someone else to always be available for you without considering the cost to them? Have you assumed that their time was limitless while fiercely protecting your own? The first step to reclaiming your time is to understand its value, both in how you use it and how you allow others to use it. So, how do you protect yourself? It begins with setting boundaries. Learn to say no without guilt. You do not owe your time to anyone who does not respect it. When someone asks for your time, pause and ask yourself, does this align with my goals? Will this bring me closer to my purpose? If the answer is no, then your answer should be no as well. Limit access to your time, especially for those who only take without giving. If a meeting, conversation, or favor does not serve a meaningful purpose, be direct. I'm not available for this right now. People will respect the limits you enforce, but only if you respect them first. Respecting your time is an act of self-respect. When you stop giving it away so freely, you'll notice something remarkable: a newfound sense of clarity, energy, and control over your life. The right people, the ones who truly value you, will never demand more than you can give. And as for the rest, they will learn that your time is not theirs to take. 2. People who demand your attention without adding value. Have you ever felt like your focus is constantly under siege? You wake up with good intentions, ready to tackle your goals, only to find yourself drowning in distractions. A friend sends you an unsolicited message about their latest drama. A colleague stops by your desk with yet another pointless complaint. Your phone buzzes with social media notifications, each one designed to pull you away from what truly matters. And before you realize it, another day has slipped away, stolen not by external crises, but by countless small interruptions that demand your attention without offering anything meaningful in return. In today's world, attention is currency. If you don't guard it, someone else will claim it. Energy vampires, gossipers, and mindless digital entertainment all compete for your focus, leaving you exhausted and fragmented. Every moment spent in meaningless conversations or endless scrolling is a moment lost, one that could have been used to build, create, or grow. The Stoics understood this long before the digital age turned distraction into an epidemic. Wealth consists not in having great possessions, but in having few wants, Epictetus wisely said. Yet most of us live like addicts, constantly seeking the next hit of dopamine from things that do not serve us. It's not just external distractions that drain you. It's also the people who demand your attention without giving anything back. Think about that one person in your life who always expects you to listen to their problems but never asks how you're doing. The friend who only reaches out when they need validation. The coworker who monopolizes meetings with their own agenda. The family member who insists that you drop everything for their latest crisis. They expect your undivided attention, but what do they offer in return? The harsh truth is that not all interactions are created equal. Some relationships uplift and inspire us, while others leave us feeling drained and depleted. The people who constantly demand your attention but bring nothing meaningful into your life are like black holes, consuming your energy without ever giving anything back. They pull you into their orbit of problems, distractions, and emotional turbulence, leaving you mentally fatigued and unable to focus on your own priorities. But before pointing fingers, ask yourself, have I been guilty of the same? Do I expect others to be available whenever I need them, while offering little value in return? It's easy to resent those who waste our time, but it's much harder to examine whether we do the same. The path to wisdom requires brutal self-awareness. If you want others to respect your attention, you must first respect theirs. So, how do you reclaim your focus? It starts with awareness, recognizing when your attention is being hijacked. The next step is setting firm boundaries. If someone constantly demands your focus without offering anything meaningful in return, it's time to limit their access to your energy. Here's how. Be intentional with your time. If a conversation doesn't serve your growth, politely step away. You are not obligated to engage in gossip, complaints, or drama that do not add value to your life. Control your digital environment. Turn off notifications, unfollow accounts that waste your time, and set specific times for checking messages. Social media thrives on distraction. Don't let it dictate your day. Choose depth over noise. Instead of shallow interactions, seek relationships that challenge and inspire you. Prioritize deep, meaningful conversations over superficial ones. Respect others' attention. Just as you expect people to be mindful of your focus, Make sure you do not demand their time without offering something worthwhile in return. Every time you allow someone to steal your focus, you are giving away your most valuable resource, your ability to think deeply, to create, to grow. This is not just about productivity, it's about living a life of intention. A distracted mind is a powerless mind. If you cannot control where your attention goes, you cannot control where your life goes. True mastery comes from the ability to focus on what truly matters and ignore what doesn't. This is why the most successful and fulfilled people are not the ones who say yes to everything. They are the ones who are selective, who choose carefully where to invest their energy. They understand that every moment wasted on distractions is a moment stolen from their purpose. The world is filled with people and things that will pull you in 1,000 directions, but you have the power to decide where your focus belongs. Attention is not infinite. It is a precious, limited resource. Choose wisely. Your dreams, your goals, and your inner peace depend on it. 3. People who drain you emotionally without giving back. Have you ever walked away from a conversation feeling utterly drained? Not just tired, but as if someone had reached inside you, taken a piece of your emotional energy, and left nothing in return. These are the people who treat your empathy as a bottomless well, those who offload their anxieties, frustrations, and negativity onto you without ever considering how it affects you. The friend who always has drama but never asks how you are. The coworker who vents endlessly but never listens. The family member who turns every interaction into an emotional dumping ground, leaving you feeling like their unpaid therapist. In life, we often believe that offering emotional support is an act of kindness, and it is. But kindness, when unchecked, can become self-sacrifice. The Stoics understood this well. Marcus Aurelius advised, "Choose not to be harmed, and you won't feel harmed." But what if the harm is subtle? What if it disguises itself as friendship, loyalty, or obligation? Emotional exhaustion is a real consequence of constantly giving to those who never reciprocate. It leaves you mentally fatigued, anxious, and disconnected from your own well-being. The danger is not just that these people drain you, it's that over time you become conditioned to accept it. You tell yourself, "This is just how they are. They need me." And before you know it, you've fallen into a pattern where their problems take priority over your peace. You absorb their stress, their anger, their chaos, until your own emotions are no longer yours to manage. But ask yourself, would they do the same for me? If the answer is no, then you're not in a mutually supportive relationship, you're being used. But let's turn this inward for a moment. Have you ever been the one who drains others? It's easy to judge those who take from us, but harder to reflect on whether we do the same. Have you relied too heavily on someone else for emotional support without considering their capacity? Have you made someone else responsible for your happiness, your stress, your burdens? The Stoic path is not just about defending ourselves from external harm, but also ensuring that we are not the source of harm for others. So how do you protect yourself from emotional vampires without losing your capacity for compassion? It starts with setting firm emotional boundaries. Recognize toxic emotional patterns. If someone constantly leaves you feeling exhausted, anxious, or used, it's a sign that your relationship is unbalanced. Limit your availability. You are not obligated to be someone's emotional crutch 24/7. If a conversation is consistently draining, excuse yourself. Protect your mental space. Before engaging with someone, ask yourself, do I have the emotional capacity for this right now? If not, step back. Surround yourself with reciprocal relationships. True friends, colleagues, and family members will support you just as you support them. If it's always one-sided, something is wrong. Practice self-care unapologetically. You cannot pour from an empty cup. Prioritize your emotional well-being so that when you do offer support, it comes from a place of strength rather than depletion. Your emotions are precious. They fuel your creativity, your relationships, your ability to experience joy. Do not allow them to be hijacked by those who only take, never give. You owe it to yourself to protect your peace, to set boundaries, and to invest your energy in relationships that nourish rather than drain. Life is too short to be emotionally exhausted by those who refuse to carry their own burdens. Choose wisely. 4. People who expect you to compromise your principles. There comes a moment in life when you are faced with a choice. Do you bend your principles for the sake of convenience, approval, or external pressure? Or do you stand firm even when it costs you? Imagine this. You're at work and your boss discreetly asks you to adjust a report to make the numbers look better. It's a small thing, really, just a minor tweak. No one will notice. No one will get hurt. But deep down, you feel the discomfort creeping in. You hesitate. You know it's wrong. Yet you also know that saying no could jeopardize your position, your future opportunities, your standing in the company. The pressure is subtle, yet immense. What do? The world is full of people who, intentionally or not, will push you to betray your values. A friend who pressures you into betraying a confidence. A romantic partner who manipulates you into doing something that feels wrong. A colleague who suggests cutting corners because everyone does it. These requests rarely come in the form of outright demands. Instead, they arrive wrapped in rationalizations. It's just this once. No one will know. This is how things work. And before you know it, the line between right and wrong blurs. The Stoics warned against this danger. Marcus Aurelius reminds us, if it is not right, do not do it. If it is not true, do not say it. This is not just advice. It is a commandment for those who wish to live with integrity. Because every time you compromise your principles, you don't just disappoint others, you betray yourself. And that betrayal cuts deeper than any external loss. Compromising your principles may seem insignificant at first, a minor concession, a harmless deviation. But principles are not rigid stones. They are woven threads in the fabric of your character. Tug on one, and the entire structure starts to unravel. The danger is not in one single act of compromise. It's in the slow erosion of self-respect, the gradual numbing of conscience, the transformation into someone you no longer recognize. Think back. Have you ever, even unknowingly, pressured someone else to compromise their principles? Maybe you encouraged a friend to lie for you. Maybe you made someone feel guilty for standing by their beliefs. We often talk about resisting external pressure, but what about the times we have been the source of it? This reversal of perspective is uncomfortable, but necessary. So how do you protect yourself? First, recognize that integrity is not negotiable. There are no discounts, no exceptions, no just this once. Second, prepare for resistance. People will be uncomfortable when you stand firm, especially those who benefit from your compliance. Be ready for the guilt-tripping, the arguments, the subtle threats to your relationships or reputation. And finally, do not be afraid to walk away. If someone repeatedly asks you to compromise who you are, they do not respect you, they only value what they can get from you. Because in the end, the people who truly respect you will never ask you to betray your own values. They may challenge your perspective, but they will admire your consistency, your integrity, your unwillingness to fold under pressure. The ones who try to make you bend, break, or betray yourself, those are the ones you must stay away from. Integrity is like glass. Once shattered, it can never be fully restored. It is easier to maintain than to rebuild. And so, when someone asks you to cross a line, pause. Consider the cost. Ask yourself, Is this who I want to be? If the answer is no, then stand firm. Walk away if you must, because the moment you start negotiating your principles, you start losing yourself. Your values are your compass. Protect them, guard them, live by them. Because when you do, you don't just preserve your principles, you preserve yourself. 5. People who want you to solve their problems without trying themselves. There is a fine line between helping someone and enabling them. Imagine this. You have a colleague who constantly turns to you for help. At first, it's small things, clarifying a task, offering guidance. But soon, it escalates. They start offloading responsibilities onto you, claiming they're overwhelmed, that you're just better at it, that they really appreciate your help. Before you know it, you're staying late to finish their projects, cleaning up their mistakes, and carrying a burden that isn't yours to bear. At what point did their problems become your responsibility? The world is full of people who, whether intentionally or not, look for someone to carry their weight. Friends who always need rescuing but never take action to change their circumstances. Relatives who expect you to step in whenever they make poor choices. Co-workers who rely on you to do their work because they refuse to learn. They disguise their requests as flattery, "You're so capable," or guilt. "If you don't help me, I don't know what I'll do." They appeal to your kindness, your sense of duty, your innate desire to help. But the Stoics knew the truth. True strength is not found in dependence, but in self-mastery. As Epictetus wisely said, "No man is free who is not master of himself." If someone refuses to take control of their own life, no amount of help will ever be enough. And if you continually solve their problems for them, you are not truly helping, you are making them weaker. Helping others is a virtue, but enabling helplessness is not. Think about it. Have you ever unintentionally encouraged someone's dependency? Have you ever taken on burdens that weren't yours, thinking you were doing the right thing? It's a painful realization, but an important one. There is a simple truth. When you repeatedly solve someone else's problems without them making an effort, you teach them that they never have to try. They will continue to lean on you, and eventually you will break under the weight of their inaction. How do you protect yourself? First, encourage problem solving instead of offering immediate solutions. Instead of fixing things for them, ask, "What steps have you taken to resolve this?" Or, "What do you think you should do?" Push them to think, to take ownership, to find their own way. Second, refuse to enable helplessness. Recognize the difference between genuine need and learned dependence. It's one thing to help someone who is trying, it's another to carry someone who refuses to walk. If they aren't willing to put in effort, they don't deserve yours. Third, focus on self-sufficiency, both in yourself and in others. The goal of helping is not to make someone reliant on you, it's to empower them to stand on their own. If someone genuinely values your support, they will take your guidance and apply it. If they continue coming back with the same problems, unchanged, it's time to step back. Because the truth is, people who refuse to take responsibility for their own lives will only drag you down with them. You cannot save someone who refuses to save themselves, and you should never sacrifice your own well-being for the comfort of someone unwilling to grow. The next time someone asks for your help, ask yourself, am I truly helping them, or am I simply making it easier for them to avoid responsibility? Help others rise, but never carry them when they refuse to walk. 6. People who pull you into things beyond your control. It starts subtly. A colleague drags you into office politics, making you feel obligated to pick a side. A friend bombards you with their endless outrage about global issues, expecting you to share their emotional burden. Social media lures you into heated arguments where strangers throw words like weapons, convincing you that your opinion must be heard. Before you know it, you're emotionally entangled in battles that yield no reward, only stress, frustration, and a growing sense of helplessness. In his teachings, Epictetus made a distinction that can change your life. We cannot choose our external circumstances, but we can always choose how we respond to them. This is the foundation of the Stoic dichotomy of control, a principle that separates what we can control from what we cannot. Yet, people around us often blur this boundary, making their problems our problems, their battles our battles, and their chaos our chaos. The cost: your energy gets drained by matters that don't move your life forward. Have you ever found yourself caught up in a pointless conflict that had nothing to do with you? Perhaps you were asked to mediate a friend's drama, defend someone else's choices, or feel outrage over something that had no direct impact on your daily life. And what did you gain? Likely nothing but stress. The illusion of control makes us believe that if we just argue hard enough, care deeply enough, or involve ourselves completely, we can change things. But Stoicism reminds us that most external events are out of our hands. No amount of worry, anger, or emotional investment will alter them. That's why detachment is not indifference, it's wisdom. There is a profound strength in stepping back and asking yourself, does this deserve my energy? If the answer is no, you must train yourself to let it go. Marcus Aurelius wrote, "You have power over your mind, not outside events. Realize this, and you will find strength." When you reclaim control over your mind, you stop being a puppet to external chaos. You become the calm within the storm, the one who moves forward while others waste their time on meaningless distractions. Yet, many of us are guilty of pulling ourselves into unnecessary battles. How often have you scrolled through social media, angered by a stranger's opinion? How much energy have you wasted arguing over things that will never change because of your words? It's human nature to seek justice, to want to be heard, but true wisdom lies in knowing when engagement is futile. If your words won't shift the outcome, why spend your breath? The key to protecting yourself is mastering the art of detachment. You must train yourself to pause before reacting, to recognize what's within your control, and to redirect your energy towards what truly matters. This is not easy, especially when emotions run high, but consider this: every moment you spend consumed by things beyond your control is a moment stolen from your goals, your peace, and your purpose. Some people thrive on conflict and chaos, and they will invite you into their turmoil because they cannot bear to face it alone. But their distractions are not your responsibility. Your duty is to yourself, to your growth, your focus, and your well-being. That means learning to say, "This is not mine to carry." It means resisting the urge to respond, walking away from unnecessary battles, and protecting your mental sovereignty at all costs. Imagine what your life would look like if you refused to engage in pointless conflicts. More clarity, more energy, more focus on your own journey. Instead of wasting time in debates that lead nowhere, you could build something meaningful. Instead of getting sucked into negativity, you could cultivate a mindset of peace, resilience, and inner strength. So ask yourself, are you mastering your mind, or is the world mastering it for you? The choice is yours. 7. People who want you to shrink to make them comfortable. At first, their words sound like concern. Are you sure you want to take that risk? Maybe you should stay where you are. It's safer. You've changed. Don't forget where you came from. They mask their doubts as advice, their fear as wisdom, and their discomfort as love. But beneath the surface, there is something deeper, a resistance to your growth. Not everyone celebrates when you rise. Some will see your progress as a threat, a reminder of what they are unwilling to do themselves. Instead of being inspired by your courage, they try to pull you back into the familiar, the ordinary, the predictable. They would rather you remain the person they knew, the one who didn't challenge them, the one who played small, the one who stayed within their comfort zone. But what happens if you listen to them? If you dim your light to make others comfortable, who benefits? Certainly not you. You shrink yourself into a version of who they expect you to be, burying your dreams in the name of keeping the peace. And yet, no matter how much you compromise, it's never enough. They will always find new ways to make you doubt yourself. They will always remind you of the risks, never the rewards. Seneca warned us about fear. The only way to deal with fear is to confront it. But too often, people don't confront their own fears. Instead, they project them onto you, convincing you that your dreams are too unrealistic, your ambitions too bold, your vision too grand, and if you're not careful, you start to believe them. Have you ever hesitated to share your success because you didn't want to make others feel bad? Have you ever downplayed your achievements to avoid judgment? This is the slow poison of self-limiting beliefs, and if you allow them to take root, they will steal your future before it even begins. The truth is, your growth will make some people uncomfortable. Your success will remind them of their failures. Your confidence will highlight their insecurities. Your ambition will expose their complacency. But that is not your burden to carry. The discomfort they feel is their battle, not yours. You are not responsible for how they react to your evolution. Instead of shrinking, step fully into your greatness. Own your power. Take up space. Embrace your ambition unapologetically. Because the right people will never ask you to dim your light. They will celebrate your brightness, even when it outshines their own. But before you move forward, take a moment to reflect. Have you ever been the person who discouraged someone else from growing? Have you ever felt uneasy when a friend or colleague surpassed you? If so, ask yourself why. Is it because their success highlights where you have been stagnant? Growth is uncomfortable, not just for the one experiencing it, but for those witnessing it. The key is to channel that discomfort into inspiration rather than resentment. If you want to protect yourself from those who seek to limit you, you must surround yourself with people who encourage expansion, not contraction. Seek out those who push you forward, who challenge you to dream bigger, who remind you of your potential when you doubt yourself. If someone is constantly telling you to settle, to be smaller, to stop reaching for more, ask yourself, why do they feel threatened by my growth? The answer will tell you everything you need to know. So the choice is yours. Will you shrink to make others comfortable, or will you rise into the fullest expression of yourself? If you are afraid of outgrowing certain people, remember this. If they truly cared for you, they would grow with you. Let that be the standard. The world does not need more people playing small. It needs courageous souls who are willing to step into their power unapologetically and without fear. It needs you, not a dimmed-down version of you, not a version that fits into someone else's comfort zone, but the real, brilliant, unstoppable you. So shine so brightly that those who cannot handle it are forced to step aside. Shine so unapologetically that you become a beacon for those who need the courage to do the same. Because your light is not meant to be dimmed, it is meant to set the world on fire. Throughout history, the Stoics have reminded us of one powerful truth. We are the gatekeepers of our own lives, our time, our energy, our emotions. These are the most sacred resources we possess. And yet, if we are not vigilant, they can be stolen, drained, and wasted on people who do not honor them. But now, you know better. You know the 7 types of people to avoid. The ones who ask for too much and give too little. The ones who pull you away from your purpose. the ones who make you question your worth, and more importantly, you know how to stand firm, how to protect your peace, and how to choose the company that elevates rather than diminishes you. Take a moment to reflect. Who in your life is lifting you up and who is holding you back? Who respects your time, your values, your energy, and who drains them without remorse? Share your thoughts in the comments. Have you ever struggled with setting boundaries? What did you learn from it? The Stoics did not live for approval. They lived for clarity, wisdom, and inner strength. And now, so can you. If this message resonated with you, make sure to like, share, and subscribe so you don't miss the next lesson on mastering your mind, protecting your peace, and becoming the strongest version of yourself. As Marcus Aurelius once said, the happiness of your life depends upon the quality of your thoughts. So ask yourself, are you surrounding yourself with people who elevate those thoughts or those who corrupt them? The choice is yours. Choose wisely.